Hi guys, I was given some information from the Lord yesterday and I think it is pretty important and I feel led that I need to share it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all of this into one video or not. If not, there will be another one forthcoming. But this information is being submitted for your discernment, and please just requesting that you go to the Lord in prayer regarding it for confirmation. While I awoke last night, I awoke with an understanding. I don't recall a dream, and I don't recall anyone talking to me. I just know that when I woke up in the middle of the night, I understood this. I understood that the eye of the needle and the fishing wire, or the fishing weir, are linked. And not only that, I understood that there would be a narrow opening through this fishing wire for us to get through. Somehow, we would get through, we would be able to go through. Now, when we are talking about the eye of the needle, remember we discussed this a little bit on some of these other videos. It is about perspective and understanding. In the very beginning, the eye of the needle for me was just nothing more than the eye of a sewing needle. And then my understanding grew that the eye of the needle is also called the keyhole in a door, a vertical opening, a vertical slot. And then even more research and understanding later, we find out that the eye of the needle now is a small vertical opening in a wall that could get through an area where there might be a locked gate, and it would be wide enough for someone to just barely get through. It'd be a very narrow opening. And so we understand where the Lord has brought us from the beginning of our understanding to now as to what the eye of the needle really and truly is. It's a narrow opening somewhere. And so, our understanding with this fishing wire is there is going to be some type of narrow opening for us to go through. And so I thought that was pretty interesting, and I wanted to bring that to you. Something else that the Lord had laid on my heart last night, for me to take another look at is when I shared these messages with the video yesterday with you all, there was some pertinent information in them that had caught my attention and I knew I needed to pray on it and talk about it with the Lord. I also needed to go back and do a little bit more research on it. And this what I have highlighted here is one of those parts. It says, "Daughter, upon the waters you will go. Be cast upon the waters to yield the harvest within, the fish harvest within. You may see many upon the water with you, but my love, your purpose is specific for some." And so we know that he mentioned here also too that trouble was coming and that he would guide us upon the raging waves that will enter our world. And he also told us about going into safety. He says, "Upon the waves I shall carry my children unto safety. Make no mistake, I am there for them, and they shall worry for nothing." So I wanted to just kind of go over those two things and let you understand these are some of the reasons why I wanted to do a little bit more study regarding the fish harvest, and because of where he is pointing us with this fishing wire. And so what I thought I better do is I better go ahead and go back to where I was in the very beginning. Excuse me, which was Wikipedia, and looking up the fishing wire, because it was this word right here that was given to me in the middle of the night as something I needed to look up. And I remember that evening I was sitting on my sofa thinking I had heard the Lord wrong. I did not understand what he was trying to tell me. And so here it is the fishing wire, the fish garth, or the kittle. We're finding is an obstruction placed in waters, either wholly or partially across the water, to direct the passage of fish. and this wire may be used to trap fish. And so we've understood. I mean, here's a picture of a fish trap. This is one that we've seen before, but this is one that kind of was in my mind last night when he gave me the understanding that we would be able to get right through. And I think it's because of these stakes here that he had. And in my mind, I just felt like we were going to be able to go right through and get through that narrow opening right back there and just go on. But that was just kind of what I had in my mind, but I was understanding what he was trying to tell me. And I knew that I needed to look up some more information. So I just went ahead and continued reading here. Alternatively, meaning, as well, they can be used to channel fish to a particular location. So, it may not just be to trap fish, but the other use could be to channel fish to a particular location, such as to a fish ladder. Well, now, that kind of caught my eye because I thought, well, I hadn't looked up the fish ladder before. Because he didn't give me any information regarding a fish ladder, so I didn't get into that. But I said, well, this is a clickable link, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it. And so when I clicked it to pull up, I just started trying to understand what a fish ladder was. What is it and why do they call it a fish ladder? And basically it's a fishway that enables fish to pass around barriers by swimming and leaping up a series of relatively low steps, hence the term ladder, into waters on the other side. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I understand. They have to walk up a water step, basically. Or swim up a water step, basically. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. And so I was just kind of scrolling down on here, and I see the different types of them. And pool and wire, I understood, was one of the oldest fish ladders. And it's a series of small dams and pools of regular length to create long sloping channel for fish to travel around an obstruction. This is the channel acts as a fixed lock to gradually step down the water level to head upstream, and the fish must jump over from box to box of the ladder, which I thought was interesting because that's probably similar to what this is. Here's a little pond, they got to jump up. Here's a little pond, they got to jump up. And I thought, wow, that's pretty wild. But then this right here is what caught my eye. Vertical slot passage. Because the vertical slot was the keyhole, and the vertical slot was the passage through the wall. And so I decided, well, let's just take a look and see what that says. And it says the vertical slot fish passage is similar to the pool and weir system, except that the dam has a narrow slot near the channel wall. And this allows the fish to swim upstream without leaping over an obstacle. And so I thought, okay, now he just told me last night that the eye of the needle and the fishing wire were linked. And so this right here is where I believe it is linked, right here, the vertical slot fish passage. So I did some searching to see what a vertical slot fish passage might look like. And I found something here. Let me scroll back up. I found something here that had some pretty interesting pictures. This one it appears to be a sketch of a footbridge, an island, a fishway, some type of pond that won't allow fish to come through. There is whatever this river's coming in here, and it's coming around. This appears to be the fishway and the people passage, which I thought was interesting. I just thought this was a cool photo because it talked about the island and had the bridge, and so. But this one here is pretty interesting too. I mean, this was talking about, okay, so this is the mirror pond, and it's showing here that this is the fishway, and look what it says. It says safe passage. So guys, what is so interesting is, the Lord knows we're going to find these things. He knows we're going to find, these photos. We're going to look at these exact ones, and we're going to see this writing, and he's doing everything he can to encourage us here. Do not think this is just mere coincidence, that all of this is happening. This appears to be another passageway here that they have. And so this is another picture here. This is a vertical slot fishway, and it appears that the flow of the water is coming this way. We can see the arrow, but here's the little opening in the wall, the very tiny little opening in the wall that the fish can go in, and they have to get in, go up the ladder, go up, go up, go up, and go all the way up to get out into another area of water. So, I just thought it was really, really interesting. It says that this style of fishway allows the fish to swim through rather than jump over each step of the ladder, and tends to perform well on larger river systems. So, here's a really good picture of that ladder coming up. As you can see it coming up this way, it comes around, and then it comes right on up. I just thought that was fascinating to see. So that's what the ladder is. And so I said to myself, well, let's look up the meaning of ladder. Let's just look up the meaning of ladder. And the meaning of ladder is a structure of wood or rope or metal that gives us a means of climbing up or down. A graded series, okay, this is interesting. A graded series of stages or levels in status, a hierarchical order of position or rank. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting, to climb a ladder. But that right there stood out to me. And I'm going to tell you why it stood out to me. Because of the forerunner message that we had in the messages yesterday, where he says this: "Halt not your searching for me through your hearts and minds, as I am ready and well able to fill them. You stand upon the rock that has been provided for you, that will not falter nor waste away in times of trouble. Watch and see, for what I say is true, for it shall come to be as I have spoken. Outer rim areas are closest to my realm, my children, and shall be protected areas for my children. Those who pass through the waters shall be allowed entry upon the land. My Father's heart is with those who enter in, for he has selected and chosen those who come forth at this time. There are many who will not know or understand the plan that has been put into place for such a time as this. But my children, you have been given the dictation of my messages in times past that explain the different levels of maturity within my children. Sin cannot enter in, my loves. Hearts must be clean and pure. Different stages of learning is where they are at currently, but I say that shall change soon." So guys, I'm going to need to end this video here in just a moment, but I want to just leave it with this thought in mind. Are these the different stages of maturity that we are having to climb up into this ladder? And notice that he is saying we are climbing up on the ladder. I'll be right back with another video. God bless you. Love you all.